She called me crazy until I found the photos. They used to call me the chill guy. You know the type. I was the guy who let the little things slide. The one who diffused tension with a joke. If someone stepped out of line, I gave them the benefit of the doubt. If something went wrong, I figured I'd take the blame. It was easier. Life's smoother when you're not picking every battle. At least that's what I told myself. My friends said I had golden retriever energy. I laughed it off. I didn't mind being the one who kept things steady. There was something noble in it, I thought, until I met Erin. She was the exact opposite of steady. Erin crashed into my life like a storm without warning. She wasn't just beautiful, she was haunting. The kind of girl who didn't walk into a room so much as consume it. Her eyes always looked like they knew something you didn't. Her laugh, a little too sharp. Her smile, the kind that came with an aftertaste. She was magnetic, but not in that warm, golden way. She was the kind of beautiful that came with edges. Beautiful in a way that felt dangerous. Beautiful in a way that made you want to fix her. Even though some small, buried part of you already knew. She wasn't broken. She was the storm. I met her at a party I didn't even want to be at. My roommate had dragged me out after my 3rd week of a soul-sucking new job. I just wanted beer and background noise. Instead, I saw her. She was sitting alone on the balcony, legs tucked under her, cigarette dangling from her lips, not smoking it, just letting it burn. Our eyes met for maybe 2 seconds, and I swear I forgot my name. She nodded once, like an invitation, and I walked over without thinking. I didn't know it then, but that was the last decision I made for myself for a long, long time. The first month with Erin felt like living in fast forward. We stayed up talking until sunrise. She asked questions no one else asked. Deep ones, uncomfortable ones. She told me about her childhood in bursts, always with a smirk, like she was daring me to feel sorry for her. I didn't. I felt fascinated. She'd say things like, "You're too good for me, you know that?" Or, "Guys like you don't end up with girls like me unless something's already broken inside." And I'd laugh and say she was wrong, that we were perfect together, that I didn't want safe or simple. I wanted real. And God, Erin felt real. The first red flag came soft. So soft I didn't even see it for what it was. We were lying in bed. My phone buzzed. A text from my sister about dinner that weekend. Erin leaned over to glance at the screen. I didn't think anything of it. But then she went quiet. "You texting other girls?" she said, staring at the ceiling. I laughed, thought it was a joke. "That was my sister." "Sure," she said. That was it. No tone, no smile. The next time it happened, she read the text. A friend from college had sent me a meme, totally innocent, but Erin's lips tightened. She tossed my phone onto the floor. "Don't disrespect me," she said. I blinked. "What?" "It's just Mark. We've been friends for years." She didn't respond. That night, we didn't sleep together. We didn't even touch. She turned her back to me and stayed that way until morning. On the 3rd time, I tried to reason with her. I told her I'd never cheat, that she could check my phone, that I wasn't hiding anything, that it hurt me she didn't trust me. She looked at me with these wide, tear-brimmed eyes and said, "It's not that I don't trust you, it's that I know how this goes. People always leave me for someone prettier. They always do." She said it like a fact, like she was already mourning something that hadn't happened yet. And so I held her. I told her she was beautiful, that I would never do that I wasn't them. But here's the thing. When someone uses their pain to make you prove your love, again and again, it doesn't feel like manipulation. It feels like responsibility. And that's when I made my first real mistake. The 4th time it happened, I apologized. I wasn't guilty. I hadn't done anything wrong. But I apologized anyway. Things escalated slowly. That's how it works. You think abuse is loud. You think it's violent. It's not. Not always. Sometimes it's 1,000 paper cuts. Quiet ones. First, she asked me to delete a girl from Instagram. Said she didn't like the way the girl commented on my photos. I explained we'd been friends since high school. Erin just looked at me, didn't say anything. So I deleted her. Then it was another friend. then another. Then she asked why I still followed my ex from 4 years ago. I told her we hadn't spoken in forever, that it meant nothing. She didn't speak for 2 days, so I unfollowed her. Next, she started saying she didn't like the gym I went to. Too many girls there, she said. You know how they look at you. I laughed. Again, thinking it was a joke, but she didn't laugh back, so I stopped going. She didn't demand it, not with words, but every boundary she set came wrapped in a kind of grief. Like if I didn't meet her halfway, she'd fall apart, and I didn't want to be the guy who broke her. So I compromised, over and over and over. I stopped seeing my friends. She didn't like them, said they were fake and toxic. She'd say things like, if they cared about you, they'd check in more. Or, why do you always run to them when I'm the one who loves you? So I stopped running. My world shrank, from a full, vibrant life to Aaron. Only Aaron. And still, I didn't think I was being controlled. I thought I was loving her the right way, the healing way, the way all those sad songs and tragic novels talk about. I thought I was saving her. But here's the brutal truth. You can't save someone who uses drowning to keep you from swimming. The breaking point came one night around midnight. I was watching TV while she scrolled through her phone. My phone buzzed. It was a photo of my niece. Family group chat. I smiled at it. She didn't. Who is it now, she said. I showed her. Literally held it up. Still, she got up, grabbed her keys, started putting on her boots. I stood up. Where are you going? I'm not gonna sit here and be lied to, she snapped. Lied to? It was my sister's kid. What are you talking about? She ignored me, walked out, slammed the door behind her. That night, she didn't come home. I sat in the dark until 3 a.m., my stomach twisted into knots, texting, calling, nothing. I was terrified she'd hurt herself. She'd hinted at it before. The next morning, she walked in like nothing had happened. Hair damp from a shower, coffee in hand, smiling. I needed air, she said. And just like that, the crisis passed. But the damage didn't. That night, something in me shifted. The chill guy, the one who always forgave, who smoothed things over, he felt smaller, quieter. And something else stirred. Something colder. Let me say this clearly now that I can see it. Love doesn't require you to disappear. Love doesn't erase your world and call it closeness. Love doesn't come with a leash. What I had with Aaron wasn't love. It was possession disguised as passion. It was insecurity weaponized into control. It was chaos choreographed to look like chemistry. But I didn't know that then. Back then, I still thought she needed me. That if I could just love her enough, she'd stop testing me. Stop doubting me. That maybe, just maybe, she'd finally feel safe. I didn't realize the tests would never end. And I didn't realize I'd already started failing the biggest one. The test of whether I'd keep choosing myself. It started with a question. Not hers. Mine. Didn't we already talk about this? I remember asking it while we were sitting on the couch, something small, something stupid. I can't even remember what the topic was now. Maybe it was about her coworker who she swore hated her, then suddenly said she was best friends with. Or maybe it was about the fight we'd had the night before, the one she said didn't happen. Either way, I asked it. Calmly, like a normal person asking for clarity. But the look she gave me. Head tilted, lips slightly parted, eyes wide like a curious animal sizing up its prey. Like she was seeing me for the first time and didn't recognize what she saw. No, babe, she said slowly, gently, like I was made of glass. We didn't talk about this. Are you okay? You've been kinda forgetful lately. Forgetful. That word hit like a stray bullet. Because deep down, I had been feeling off. Not forgetful, exactly. Just disoriented. Like I'd walked into a room and couldn't remember why I was there. Like things weren't lining up, but I couldn't prove it. At first, I chalked it up to stress. Long hours. No gym. No friends. No time to breathe. But then it kept happening. I'd bring something up, something she'd said or done that didn't sit right, and she'd smile like a therapist on the first day of intake. You sure that's what I said? Or, that doesn't sound like me. Or the worst one. I think you're misremembering things again. It wasn't just the denial. It was the ease. The grace. The way she made me question my own memory like it was an unreliable narrator in someone else's life. I didn't feel like I was losing an argument. I felt like I was losing myself. And then there were moments I couldn't explain. Like the time she blatantly flirted with my friend Chris at a house party. She laughed at everything he said. Touched his arm every chance she got. She whispered something in his ear and he actually looked uncomfortable. When I brought it up later, she laughed like I'd just accused her of plotting a heist. Babe, are you serious right now? You sound paranoid. I stared at her, waiting for the punchline, but her eyes just narrowed with what looked like concern. You really should talk to someone, she added, lower now. That anger? It's starting to scare me. And in that moment, I felt it. She wasn't scared of me. She wanted me to be scared of me. After that, things spiraled in slow, invisible circles. Fog settled in. Not the sleepy kind. The kind that twists up reality and turns your instincts into liars. She started calling me at work. Not once. Not twice. 10 to 15 times a day. It started under the guise of sweetness. Just thinking of you. Miss your voice. Want to hear about your day. But soon it was hourly check-ins. Where are you? Who's that in the background? You said you'd be back by 5. It's 5:07. If I missed a call, she'd leave voice messages that started calm, then spiraled into panic, then rage, then tears. I get back to my phone and see 13 missed calls. For voicemails. 1. Sorry for freaking out. I just love you. And I believed her. Because I wanted to. Because if I didn't believe she loved me, I'd have to accept something far worse. That I wasn't in a relationship. I was in a cage. The worst of it came one weekend. I told her I was heading to my friend Jonah's place. We were going to watch a fight and eat junk food. I didn't invite her. She'd said she didn't like Jonah. Said he was a bad influence. Bro, why? An hour into the hangout, there was a knock at the door. Jonah opened it and gave me that "what the hell?" Look, it was Erin, smiling. Surprise, she said, holding a six-pack like a party favor. She breezed into the apartment like she belonged there, sat on the couch next to me, legs across my lap, running her hand through my hair in front of everyone. I laughed nervously. She kissed my cheek like a warning. Later, I asked her how she knew where I was. She blinked once, smiled again. Oh, I tracked your phone. You forgot to turn off location sharing. Like I'd forgotten to lock the cage door behind me. I told myself this was loyalty. This was love taken too far. She was just afraid of losing me. That's what I told myself. Because the truth that I was being watched, controlled, manipulated was too big to look at head on. So I made excuses. She's just intense. She's been hurt before. She just needs reassurance. But deep down, another voice started to whisper, this isn't reassurance. This isn't devotion. This is surveillance. And it was working. The fog got worse. I stopped trusting my instincts. I started writing down conversations so I could prove to myself they'd happened. I'd replay her words in my head like courtroom evidence, only to wonder if I'd misheard them. I stopped talking back, stopped challenging her. I wasn't even scared of her anymore. I was scared of me, scared I was broken, scared I was the problem. I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the man staring back. Not because he looked different, but because he looked uncertain, like someone who wasn't sure if he was being loved or hunted. We broke up 6 times. Not in the dramatic shouting match kind of way you see in movies. No, each breakup with Erin felt like an autopsy. Cold, clinical, a dissection of my flaws laid out on a sterile metal tray. You're emotionally unavailable. You're cold. You're a narcissist. Every time she said it like a diagnosis, like she'd finally solved the mystery of what was wrong with me. And every time, I believed her. The first breakup hit like withdrawal. Couldn't breathe, couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I sent text after text, long paragraphs at 3 a.m., cringe-inducing voice messages I can still hear in my head. I begged, pleaded. I apologized for things I didn't even understand. She didn't reply, not at first. Then 2 days later, a text. Just 2 words. I forgive you. Like I'd hit her. Like I'd done something monstrous. But I hadn't. At least I didn't think I had. So why did it feel like I had? Each time we got back together, she returned like a savior. Calm, in control, offering me mercy like a priest in a confessional. I know you didn't mean to hurt me. I just wish you'd work on yourself. I'm still here. That means something, right? And I'd nod, grateful, relieved, desperate for her to love me again. Because the alternative, being the villain in her story, was unbearable. But something had changed in me, too. I wasn't perfect. Far from it. I stopped expressing myself honestly. I started collecting moments. Little slights, odd text messages, glances that didn't make sense, and storing them like evidence. I became passive-aggressive, distant, suspicious. Once, while she was in the shower, I opened her laptop. I didn't even know what I was looking for. Maybe validation. Maybe proof that I wasn't crazy, that something was off. And then I found it. A file on her desktop, tucked between essays and work documents. Joe Deboa MP4. I hovered over it. My heart was pounding so loudly I could feel it in my teeth. But I didn't open it. Not because I didn't want to know, but because I was more afraid of her finding out I had snooped than I was of whatever was inside. Let that sink in. I was more afraid of her rage than the truth. Breakup number 5 was the worst. It came after a quiet dinner. No fight. No scene. Just silence on the drive home, and then, "This isn't working," she said softly. "You don't make me feel safe." And I sat there, numb. The words didn't even make sense. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I just agreed. That night, I packed a bag, went to sleep on my best friend's couch. Thought, maybe this is finally it. Maybe I'm free. And then 2 days later, the text came. A photo. Erin's arm. Scratched. Angry red lines down her skin like claw marks. Caption. "This is what he did to me." My stomach dropped. Then the messages started, friends texting me, asking what happened, asking why she was crying, asking if I needed help. I could barely think. I knew I hadn't touched her. I knew it. But in that moment, I doubted myself. That's how deep I was. I almost believed I had. Breakup number 6 was the last. It wasn't planned. There was no build-up, no slow burn. Just one moment, me standing in the kitchen, holding a cracked coffee cup she'd just thrown at the wall, her screams still echoing in my ears. And then I saw her do it. She looked me in the eye and dragged her nails down her arm. Slow, deliberate. Blood bloomed. She didn't flinch. She didn't cry. She just watched me watch her. Like it was a test. Like she was measuring how much guilt I could carry. That was the moment I knew I had to go. I left everything. My toothbrush. My hoodie. My dignity. I blocked her on everything. Changed my number. Told friends I needed space. I deleted photos, texts, voicemails. I tried to make it feel final. But inside, I was still unraveling. I couldn't tell what was real anymore. Was I the bad guy? Had I made her that way? Had I imagined it all? Was I the abuser? Or the abused? And then, weeks later, my phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer. But something in me, some flicker of survival instinct, told me to pick up. A woman's voice. Not Erin's. She sounded nervous. Careful. "Hey, you don't know me, but I think we've both dated the same person. Erin." My stomach flipped. She paused, took a breath, then said the words that would haunt me for weeks. "She told people you abused her, but I think I'm going through the same thing now. And I need to know I'm not crazy." It had been months since I'd last seen her face. No texts, no calls, no flying cups or whispered threats disguised as concern. No random pop-ups outside my apartment or surprise visits that felt more like stakeouts. She was gone. At least, that's what I told myself. I was healing the only way I knew how, slowly, quietly, without ceremony. I went back to the gym. I reconnected with friends I hadn't seen in over a year. I stopped apologizing for everything. Stopped flinching at my own reflection. There were still nights I double-checked the locks. Still moments I'd wake up in a sweat convinced someone was in the room. But for the most part, life was still unremarkably normal. Until the day my cousin came over. He was just there to borrow a charger. Quick visit. We talked about basketball, ordered takeout, sat on the couch in that comfortably silent way only family can. "Hey," he asked casually, gesturing toward the desk. "Mind if I use your laptop real quick? My phone's dead and I need to send something." "Yeah, go ahead." I didn't think twice. I had nothing to hide anymore. Or so I thought. Later that night, we were flipping channels when he turned to me with a weird look. "Dude," he said, lowering his voice. "Why do you have so many pictures of that girl crying in your downloads folder?" I laughed at first, confused. "What are you talking about?" He didn't smile, just handed me the laptop. And there it was. A folder I didn't create, no name, just a random string of characters. I opened it, and everything inside me went still. Dozens of images, all screenshots, all from my webcam, each one dated, time-stamped, organized, as if someone had curated them. Most of the shots showed me pacing, sitting at my desk, lying in bed, blank expressions, furrowed brows, me alone staring into nothing. But some weren't just me. Some had her, Erin, in my apartment, in the background, in the shadows, filming me through the crack of my bedroom door. I scrolled through the screenshots with shaking hands. My throat was dry. My skin felt cold. The timestamps weren't random. They were all from nights we fought. Nights I couldn't figure out how she already knew things. Knew what I was thinking. Knew what I'd say. Knew the exact moment to twist the knife. She wasn't psychic. She wasn't intuitive. She was watching. She'd installed spyware on my laptop. I couldn't breathe. I remembered all the times she accused me of hiding something. All the times she showed up at the exact wrong moment and made me feel like I was the one lying. Like I was the one playing games. It wasn't intuition. It was surveillance. She was filming me, studying me, editing the narrative in real time. One image stopped me cold. It was me sleeping, curled on my side, headphones in. The room dim, my laptop closed beside me. But in the upper left corner of the image, caught in the reflection of the closet mirror, was her shadow, standing in the doorway, watching me. I sat there frozen. I couldn't move, couldn't speak. My cousin must have noticed because he started asking if I was okay. But the world had gone quiet. Everything was muffled, like my brain had turned down the volume on reality. Because that photo, that single frame, was the final nail. She hadn't just manipulated me. She hadn't just gaslit me. She had violated me. Systematically, deliberately, repeatedly. And I had loved her. I wanted to scream, to call the police, to erase everything and throw the laptop in a dumpster. But instead I just stared. At myself. At the version of me in those photos. The one who had no idea he was being watched. No idea he was being turned into a villain in someone else's story. And in that moment I realized something awful. She never stopped watching. She only stopped needing to be in the room. I brought everything to the police. The photos, the spyware, the timeline, the screenshots of her standing just out of frame while I slept. An officer, middle-aged, tired, detached, scrolled through the evidence with a crease between his eyebrows. Yeah, he muttered. That's troubling, but not enough, apparently. Not enough for charges. Not enough for escalation. Not enough for justice. They offered me a paper form, restraining order, as if ink and court dates could hold back someone who had lived inside my head rent-free for over a year. Even the officer said it quietly, like a warning disguised as advice. Honestly, man, just stay away from her. So I did. I moved out of the city, changed jobs, cut off mutual friends, deleted old contacts. I threw out the laptop and with it the last physical trace of her. Except she wasn't just on the hard drive. She was in me. In the way I triple-checked door locks. In the way I hesitated before speaking, wondering if I'd remember the conversation the same way she would. In the way I told stories with a disclaimer, at least that's how I remember it. I started therapy. It took 3 sessions just to say her name out loud. Another 5 to admit I missed her. That was the most disturbing part. Because somewhere in the tangled mess of her cruelty, there were moments that felt like love. Late-night talks. Inside jokes. Her hand in mine when no one was looking. It's terrifying what the brain can romanticize just to survive. I don't date much now. Not because I hate women. Not because I'm bitter. But because I don't trust myself. Because I saw every red flag she ever waved and I turned it into a parade. Because I learned how easy it is to mistake intensity for affection, jealousy for passion, control for care. And now when someone says, "You're such a good listener," all I can think is, yeah, that's how it started last time. Months passed. I was rebuilding. Slowly. Quietly. One routine at a time. Then one night, I was making dinner, just background noise, something boring playing on the TV when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. One message. "You finally figured it out. Proud of you. Red heart." No name. No context. No need. I knew. I stared at the screen, my heart suddenly pounding like it used to. I didn't reply. I didn't rage. I didn't panic. I just blocked the number and kept chopping onions. And then I stood there in the silence of my new kitchen, breathing in the steam of something normal, something mine, and I realized. That wasn't closure. It was a test. A final knock on the door to see if I'd answer. I didn't. I'm telling the story not for sympathy. Not for revenge. But because someone, somewhere, needs to hear it. Because someone is right now second-guessing everything they thought they knew. Asking themselves why they're always the one apologizing. wondering if it's them, if they're just too sensitive, too jealous, too broken to be loved. If that's you, hear me. Love doesn't feel like confusion. It doesn't feel like surveillance. It doesn't feel like you're walking on eggshells just to earn peace. Love isn't fear disguised as devotion. It's not silence you're punished for breaking or truth you're shamed for telling. If you feel like you're losing your mind just to keep someone, you're not in love. You're in danger.